Menthila lumen numen tielvo. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. This is part 2 of the Ñoldor Squad. So I tried to do this earlier, and both of you went back to your favorite characters. Let's talk about the Badger. For those of you who
The
don't
reason
know,
I love Maedhros is that
I mean, so Finwë Nulla Finwë is called the Cold Star because he wields the sword of Ringil, which was forged technically by elves, and that's why it was able to damage Morgoth. Actually, we don't really know why, because technically Angrist was able to cut a Silmaril out of his iron crown. So,
what was the?
I
Wait.
feel at that
What
point-
was Findicano's sword when he
I
tried
don't
to
think
cut?
he-
No. When he tried to cut, it wasn't named, right?
Yeah, it wasn't named. That is the weirdest thing with Tolkien, is that Feanor's sword does not get named, though it's the first sword ever drawn on somebody.
Ever made. That might be the first sword ever made.
It's
not.
weird. It's weird because the
Wait.
Silmarillion does say that all the different Noldor
Yeah,
were secretly forging
that's
weapons.
true.
Oh yeah, so
but it's also that the Orome took them plans to teach them how to make weapons in Carivianum because they needed them for the Great Journey.
Yep.
Oh shit, I forgot about that part. By the way, listeners, sometimes I forget things, and this is why I have friends who are smarter than me.
To be fair, also to be fair though, like those Great Journey texts, there's like 3 or 4 different versions of them.
There are.
In one of them, Feanor Cudu Finwë was born on the journey instead of in Valinor.
What are you doing with your hand?
I don't know. Just trying to cover my mic more to be more close to it.
I was gonna say, are you doing like that thing where he's like the Atlanta Falcons, so they could like change whatever team.
Atlanta Falcons.
I think for me though, it makes sense that they would need weapons on that journey, because it's a long journey, and Morgoth ain't just gonna sit back and leave them alone.
Oh, speaking of the journey, because for those who don't know, which nobody knows, me, Lee, and David talk outside of obviously doing this. Like I said, we're friends. We were talking about what Noldo would be as far as animals, because Finrod Felagund, as Lee was saying earlier, was called Badger. Let's talk about animal sounds. Because
you mean like Orome's horse?
Yes,
so
yeah, so the name of Orome's horse comes from the sound that they perceived from the horse, which can either of you do that again or both, whatever.
Nahar. So there's Nahar.
No, David, put your heart into it, please.
Nahar.
Thank you.
So there's Nahar. There's Mama, which is for sheep. That's literally the name of sheep in Quenya, is Mama. Then there's Quackle, which is crow in Quenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think those are the only other ones I have right now.
Well, but also there's
quite funny.
But there's also the Valaroma.
There's the Valarine name for Nahar as well, which is like it's got like random Greek letters in it. I don't know how to say it.
Crap, what is it?
Oh, is that from the video you made, Lee, about like the Valian language?
It's
Valarine, yeah. That the elves, like, it caused the elves like physical discomfort to hear it.
I'm trying to remember what characters those were, because
it's like the one that's sort of like an X.
It's like that is like how I was saying it. It's like Nahar. So it's kind of like
it's still kind of the same word.
It's the Greek Kai. So like the X. So why it's like called Xmas or Christmas?
Would it be like guttural then, like Nahar?
I think I'm trying to remember the correct linguistic term. I want to say it's the aspirated form of like ka. So it's basically the ch. So like what you have in German and you have in Greek and in Hebrew and a lot of the other language. So it's like Buch, like how Buch in German.
Yeah, like guttural.
So it's like
I'm just saying it a different way than you are.
No, it's considered a guttural, like, because guttural is more of like the categorization of like if it's G, K, C, CH sounds, and then like guttural, dental, labial, is it fricative? Fuck, what are the other? sibilants are like the S, Z, SH sounds. Excuse me.
Right.
So it's I believe
Say
I want
David. Say
I
excuse
want
me,
to
Quenya David.
I want to say it's the aspirated guttural of that, because it's like when you say like in Greek, if you say like the Christ, it's Christos.
Right.
So it's not like it's not the hard guttural. So it's not like nakar. It's nahar. So like in Greek, Hebrew, and I want to say in Arabic as well, there's kind of like that ch where it's a little bit like it. There's the gutturals there, but it's not as like prominent. That makes sense. So it's like nahar. Or what's the, because there's a word that often gets used that where like it's fuck. What is that word? Because there's a common word, I forget if it's either Arabic or if it's Hebrew, where it's often used, where it's like a key element, or Hanukkah. Think of Hanukkah, like how, like, remember the Rugrats, the Hanukkah special, how they say it's like, it's not Hanukkah, it's Hanukkah. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that same ch. I forget. I might be completely wrong. I might be using the wrong term for aspiration.
It's easy to get all the linguistic terminology lost.
Yeah.
Like I used to know it all way back in the day, and now I'm just like, and it's like I looked it all up again when I did that video because I was trying to work out how to say the Valerian version of Nahar, and I learned it for that video, and now it's it's gone again.
Yeah,
but
if it's that X, then it'd be like Nahar, Nahar, Nahar.
It's like, and then there was like the A and the E that are like one letter, which I can't remember.
Oh,
That's
so
called
that would,
Avo.
yeah, that diphthong of like, it's
It's
weird.
like Nahara.
So I think that one, is the A E in the first syllable or in the second syllable?
Second syllable, it's after the X.
So it'd be Nacher,
Nahara.
because
So it still
because
sounds like the noise a horse makes. It
right.
still sounds like a whinny, which is like the main point. But yeah, I just find it funny as well that the elves at Cuivianum were absolutely terrified by the horses whinnying, and they were it was Nahar that actually found them first. Nahar sensed them before Orome knew they were there, and it was Nahar who took
Tolkien was a
Orome
horse girl,
to
so
them.
and so with that AE, I would think of how sometimes if you read older, God, it's gonna sound super nerdy. Think of if you ever encounter like older like Greco-Roman mythology texts from like the 1800s and before, or like lexicons, or God forbid any like Greek language grammars, when it talks about Greek, it does Greek as, or it does Grecian as Graecian, or it does Rome as Rome or Romi, Romae, that type of like kind of diphthongy thing. It's kind of like that almost elongated E sound. So like Grecian.
Also, if you've ever read, why am I using this like a microphone?
Lee's drunk enough to be using her bottle like it's a microphone.
Wait.
If you've ever read his Dark Materials trilogy by Philip Pullman, the word in that demon is spelled with a D and then that, and it's demon.
Actually, that's a great point, because that's also like often how it gets transliterated or Romanized in English for or at least for earlier times. Demon was translated as, or not translated, written and Romanized as Daemon. So it's kind of like that. It's not to be confused with how we pronounced Maedhros or Maitimo, like MAE, which I can imagine that confuses the shit out of modern readers, because like Tolkien does that I diphthong when it's not, that's not how it's pronounced in like those older English texts.
Can I just real quick say how David, I am always in awe of like how silly a conversation gets, and you find like one of like the coolest parts of it, and you're like, well, but also like this is really like, you're just so well read and you're so like
it's more my
honestly.
tangent.
Listen.
My brain
There's
is
a
a
few people
giant
who I'm
tangent.
calling, who I call the Tolkien doctor. Like I started calling Bard of Arda Tim the Tolkien doctor.
He is definitely a
Yeah.
Tolkien doctor.
Lee is one. Tim Bard
Lee
of
is
Arda.
definitely one.
David, I gotta promote you, man.
I'm very limited in.
Listen. Remember when we were sitting on a live talking about Arda versus Arda? Remember that?
Oh yeah.
For those who don't know, there is a text. It's actually in one of my favorite texts, and it's also one of Lee's favorite texts. It is Morgoth's ring.
Morgos is her name.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Listen,
Godfall, actually.
Morgos.
Thank you. I love that. Like David got pedantic, and Lee got even more pedantic than David.
Polemical, not pedantic. Polemical.
But so in I'm gonna say it the way it's titled, in because I've had some drinks. Okay.
No, that's to be fair. So I've actually received feedback in my notes on a paper because they're like, yeah, it's better that you don't use the Quenya names just because it's going to be more accessible to broader audiences. That
hey,
Yeah.
please hold that thought, because I want to come back to that, because that's a really cool sentence, and you totally just like dangled the carrot out there and was like, nah, that's good enough. So please hold that thought.
Yeah, it's good enough.
But no, it's not good enough. We're getting into that. But so in where was I going? Oh, in Morgoth's ring. Also, audience, I have ADHD. Sometimes I forget what I'm talking about.
Also, audience, I'm pretty sure all of us have it. Some of us, myself,
that's only what people with ADHD say. By the way, I asked my therapist and they confirmed. Actually, I asked more than one therapist. Anyways, so in Morgoth's ring, there are notes from Christopher, and there's also author notes from Tolkien. Arda is not necessarily just the earth. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. But it's never it's all about like how you want to interpret it. So I'm bringing this up because David brought up one time in a post on a different social media that Morgoth used to have a freaking moon base, which, by the way, I saved that video because the way you said Morgoth had a freaking moon base was the best I've ever heard. Like, I loved that reaction. So I saved that video specifically for that reaction. So we were on this live and I was reading these things because I had read it's in Athrobeth, Finrod, Andrath, for anyone who is interested where it is. It is after the actual Athrobeth. It's
also called Artaketie Finderato Andrese for the Quenya, just to throw that out there for you,
for the Quenya elves who happen to be listening. Yeah, you're right.
For our audience in Valinor.
Yeah, for Macalaure, who's
for
the
those
only Quenya
who
elf
know,
who might still be around in the
for those who
Earth.
speak what is proper.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you literally did that for Macalaure. That's all you did that for, because he would be the only Quenya elf.
I fuck with Macalaure. I fuck with Macalaure.
No, listen, Macalaure is in my top 5. He really is.
Quite right.
But like, I mean, musician, like I literally have Finderato has a harp in his heraldry, and I was like, oh, he's already my favorite elf, and now he's even higher up because he's got the harp in there. But so damn it, we did the thing where we tangented that accident.
So in Athrobeth.
Artaketie.
Okay, thank you. So in Athrobeth, after the text of the Athrobeth or Artaketie, David, there are author's notes and there's also Christopher's notes. And in both, they talk about how Arda sometimes means the earth, and other times it means our solar system. And it reminded me of David's Morgoth had a freaking moon base. So like, and we brought that up on that live because David was in that live. And so I read that and I was like, David, you know what that means? Morgoth really could have still had a freaking moon base without it being explicit, because he goes and hides in Arda, which is the whole solar system, so he could still have a moon base. Morgoth is Dr. Evil, by the way.
He is.
And Sauron must be his hairless cat. Oh my god! Sauron is his hairless cat. Because Tevildo. I know he was a black cat, but maybe he got worried and lost all of his fur.
Close enough.
Yeah.
He's stressed out from having to go back to Mordagoth and
Yeah. Oh yeah. After going to Tower.
Yeah.
Oh, that meme. When Morgoth's already yelling and you have to tell him you lost a strategic stronghold to a girl and a dog.
Fuck this! I'm going to Tower Nufuin.
Oh, Grumpy Bat.
Oh my god, that'd be an
Grumpy Bat mode
amazing.
Activate.
That'd be an amazing meme. Fuck this! I'm going to Tower Nufuin. So I'm gonna shift our conversation. For those who don't know David is a proponent of the anti Alu thing. I'm gonna start with the Sindarin name, David. I will get to the Quenya name.
To be fair, his
hold on.
Quenya name's in the text. His
I know,
Quenya name
I know,
is
I
in
know.
the text.
I know, but he's more often referred to as a different name. So David is a proponent against Alu Thingol, Elwe Singolo, which David calls. Please say.
Elwe Sindiculo.
Could you explain why you say Sindiculo?
Because Elwë is a bastard man.
Well,
so like,
so that's
so
two.
it comes from in this published Silmarillion, you're told that his name is Elwë Singolo, which is the Quenya version of Elu Thingol. But Elwë.
For those listening, this man David just rolled his eyes so hard.
So Elwë Singolo technically comes from the older Quenya version of Singolo comes from Sindicolo. And so I call him Elwë Sindiculo from our contemporary real world languages, Latin-based languages from like Italian and from Spanish, culo meaning like ass or asshole. And so he is the gray asshole to me based on many different things he does.
So I brought this up because Mealy and David were talking earlier, making sure we all had times correct because none of us live in the same time zone. But and David said he had a thesis that he wanted to present, and I just want to let him have a platform. So David, the platform is yours.
So, as many people who, if you've read the published Silmarillion, you're familiar with the chapter of the Noldor and Valariande, or the Noldor and Beleriand. And so in that chapter, it talks about how Elwë Sindiculo basically tells the Noldor, he says, oh, you guys can have such and such land because I don't want you guys to basically colonize any of my people. So I'm here to disprove what he's claiming in those words and get behind what he's really saying.
Are you gonna present this as like a sermon? Do I need to I'll get music for you if you need.
You're gonna get the organ playing.
If you need it, I will get it. I promise you, I will find it very fast.
We won't go that far yet.
Okay.
Maybe another time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a hey TJ, I'm gonna do this thing. I need music queued up at this time. So like next time, I swear to God, I will.
So the main thesis is that Elwë Sindiculo did not care about the other elves who would actually be, falling. Basically, he didn't care about the other elves that are outside of Lestinore or Doriath in the bastard tongue of Sindarin.
Thank you for saying Sindarin, because most people listening probably will not know that.
And what he cared most about was maintaining his hegemonic rule or his hegemonic kingship.
Mm-hmm.
And my evidence for this is that in this very same chapter, I have my copy of the published Silmarillion here with me. So let me go ahead and pull it up.
By the way, for anyone listening, we all are very close to our Silmarillions. And also as an aside, hey Lee, how many Silmarillions do you have?
I counted them the other day, and there was 35.
Oh, that's it?
So
I'm just kidding. That's quite a bit. How
I
many
think
do you
I
have?
may have missed a
How many
couple.
do you have in arm's reach?
Honestly, at the minute, none, because I tidied all my books away.
Ooh,
So I
that's
can't actually reach
surprising.
your Silmarillion.
That's
I'd have to
surprising.
stand up and everything. I know, I don't like it. I like it.
Yeah, I would assume that you always have like at least a Silmarillion on hand.
I mean, to be fair, there's
It's
one on my
also
phone.
part of your username, so like I have to be honest, I'm a little disappointed.
I am actually part Silmarillion myself.
It's built into the username.
It's just built in. No, I have the PDF on my phone, so there's always one with me.
Did I tell you I'm getting an Irish translation of The Hobbit?
Oh, nice.
Getting sent to me because I sent someone a hammer from the War of the Rohirrim.
Oh,
Vanya?
nice.
Yes, from Vanya. Vanya,
Nice.
she reached out and was like, "Hey, can you please give me a popcorn bucket?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And then she
You are
was,
the popcorn bucket person.
I am.
The dealer
Popcorn
in
bucket
hammers.
dealer. Yes.
No, like literally, like I sent one to
Bucket
Lee, I
dealer.
sent one to Gloomweaver, I sent one to Vanya, I sent one to Shadow Pilgrim.
I love how there's just been popcorn buckets going all around the world.
I swear to God, I will send one every. Well, someone was in my live last night, and they saw because so I'm facing a different way than I do on my TikTok lives, just because, like, I'm using my iPad instead of my phone. And they saw the popcorn bucket up here, and he was like, "Oh, I live in Oregon, and they didn't have them in my theaters." And I was like, after this live, you can like send me your address, and I will send it to you. And he goes, "No, I can't do that." And I was like, I promise you, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not international shipping. Like, which, by the way, Lee, when I sent to you, this is a public announcement. If you ever need to send outside of the continental United States, please do not use UPS. Please use the United States Postal Service because it's like less than $50.
Yep.
I found that out.
I
I found that out, Lee, after I had spent almost $300 to send you your popcorn bucket. Don't ever use anything other than the United States Postal Service if you're sending outside of the US from the US.
nearly had a heart attack when you showed me that picture of the receipt.
I had a heart
couldn't
attack
believe
when they
it.
told me. I mean, I looked it up and I was like, this is going to be a little bit. And then they told me, and I was like, oh, fuck, whatever. I'm doing it. I'm
so sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no. Don't apologize. I'm the idiot who didn't research it before I sent it. Anyways, that was a nice little break before we get back to our regularly scheduled Syndiculo hit.
No, I'm here for it.
I feel like NPR when I get really close to the microphone and do one of those like. And now back to David Donaldo with
Is it
Elway Singulo.
Is it Ira Glass or what's
Yeah, exactly. Like I literally have to put my lips.
Can I just say something on this
You may.
topic, like
Yeah.
to go with what David's talking about?
Yeah.
A king is he that can hold his own, or else his title is vain. Thingol does but grant us lands where his power does not run. Indeed, Doriath alone would be his realm this day, but for the coming of the Ñoldor. Therefore in Doriath let him reign, and be glad that he has the sons of Finwë for his neighbours, not the orcs of Morgoth that we found. Elsewhere we shall go as seems good to us.
Can you
Yes.
please cite the speaker of that?
That is Mr. Nelja Finwë, mighty Maedhros and Maedhros.
Oh, there we go. We're bringing it back full circle. Hey, let's take a drink.
A king
Let's
in
take
his
a
own
drink
right.
for Mighty Mo right now.
Yes, the dispossessed king.
So, getting back to my thesis, Elwë Sindiculo only sent the message that he sent to the Ñoldor in order to continue to establish his hegemonic rule, his hegemonic reign. Basically, he was threatened by the arrival of the Ñoldor because all the other elves outside of Lestinore or Doriath were happy at the arrival of the Ñoldor. You can see this in the fact that the elves, the Northern Sindar, or the elves of Mithrim, or Mistanore, or Mistanende, depending on how you want to translate that, were enthralled. The Ñoldor basically saved the elves of that region because Elwë Sindiculo and the Sindarin elves did not like the Northern Sindar. They thought basically they had the similar views about them that they had about the dwarves, that their tongue was debased. They believed that they were even they're pretty much half orcish, almost being in league with Morgoth. That's a different story. But also, if you look at the text, and my apologies because I spoke incorrectly, the text that this is actually from is not of the Noldor and Valariande or the Noldor and Beleriand. It's in chapter 13 of the Return of the Noldor in the published Silmarillion. And so we can get a couple of glimpses that aren't as straightforward, but they are there. So, for example, in this edition, the kind of
That's a
newer,
pretty edition. I have that one.
the kind of
I don't
newer
have that one.
Delray
here.
edition. This is on page 122.
I need it.
It
I need
states
it for the collection.
Yes, you do. You need, what would that be? Number 37?
6,
Oh, that'd be 37.
7.
it is weird because it is one of the cheaper copies, kind of what we were talking about before. I think when we're talking about the histories of Middle Earth, like I literally bought this last year, and look how like war torn and like where
Yeah.
it is.
David,
We
it's
just
really,
don't have that version in Britain.
yeah.
David, I've read this cover to cover one time. The exact same copy you have. And mine is also really fucked up.
Yeah. Like it's weird because given the other editions,
Fucking capitalists. I bet you Elway Syndical made this.
I mean, Carnisteer, chief capitalist of
motherfucking
Middle Earth.
Carnisteer. Goddamn Feanorians. Lee.
To be fair, he is.
I'm pretty against this.
Listen, Carnisteer is a Feanorian, so
he's a Feanorian, but he is the exception because he hates everybody.
I know. I'm just
like all the other Feanorians. They love
Except
the
Haller.
dwarves.
He likes Haller.
Yeah, but he hates. But they hate the dwarves.
So Lee, why don't you hold that thought and we'll get back to that? Because I know what she's talking about, but nobody else does besides David.
Yeah, I definitely know what she's talking about. And it's one of my favorite like headcanons and theories ever.
Yes.
But to get back to my theory.
Hey, by the way, do we say fuck Elway Syndical?
Yes, fuck Elway Syndical.
Wait, let's take a drink for that.
Hold on, I need to refill.
Oh, Lee, refill.
Okay, I'll just drink from the bowl. It's fine. Fuck Elway Syndiculo.
I'll take a second drink for that.
I'm also calling him Syndiculo, not Syndiculo.
Oh, you're doing the thorn?
That's okay. You can speak. That's okay. You can speak
right.
no better. That's all right.
That's very out of Fenway of you. I like that you're. I guess you're a Feanorian stan, so it makes sense that you're also thorning.
Yes.
So,
sorry, David. Did not mean to interrupt. Please.
No,
continue.
it's completely okay. I like this. So, so in this edition, page 122 of this edition, it says, "Now in Mithrim there dwelt grey elves, folk of Valariande or Beleriand, that had wandered north over the mountains, and the Noldor met them with gladness."
122.
Yeah, 122. As kinsfolk long sundered. So this gets to the point that's touched upon in the history of Middle Earth, as well as in the Parma El Delambaron.
Woo! Palmer El Delambaron.
Wait, say that again, as if you haven't been drinking for a while.
I know, right?
No, I'm not kidding. Try it again.
So in the history of Middle Earth and the Parma El Delambaron.
Woo! Drink.
Take a drink.
We get a bit more.
Maybe we should actually come up with a drinking game for the future ones, where if certain things get mentioned, we have to drink.
Oh, damn, that's a good one. Well, obviously we have to do a fuck Syndiculo one.
Yeah, fuck away
Fuck
Syndiculo.
Syndiculo.
Well,
Palmer El Delambaron.
It happened. Take a drink.
I'd say every time the thorn comes up, but we would just be like in hospital with alcohol poisoning.
So like if the three of us. If
Every
the
time
three
we go
of us,
on a tangent.
Yeah. Also, if one of the
dead.
three of us are on, if I'm on and Finrod is mentioned, drink. If Lee's on and Maedhros, my Timo Nelia Finway is mentioned, drink. If David's on and Nola Finway,
yeah, the cold star.
Yes.
Listen,
I was saying it, but I guess it wasn't fast enough. So if David's on and that's mentioned or he's mentioned, then you drink. So here's a new drinking game that we just came up with, brand new on the first episode of Tolkien on Tap. I almost forgot what the name of this was. Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Wait, cheers. What was the
I
Elvish.
forgot already.
It's like Almatie or something like that. Almadi?
Replayed it.
Almie?
Oh, I don't know. I've
It
had
was
a
like
few drinks tonight.
it was something ALM and then ending with that
Hey, David.
A suffix.
David, I'm way too inebriated to remember that.
That's okay. I like I'm to be fair, like
Almian.
Almian. There
Almian.
you go.
You
There
know
we go.
Almian.
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 All right.
But in the Parma El Delambaron,
Oh, you got it that time. Nice.
it is stated that the elves of Mithrim, also known as Mistanende, personal construction, meaning the gray lake. It is stated that the elves, this is what's referred to as the northern Sindar, as opposed to the southern Sindar of Lestinore or Dordiath, which is the folk of Elwe Sindiculo. And so Elwe Sindiculo and the elves and the Sindar of Lestinore do not like these elves. And it's stated in the Parma El Delambaron and the Histories of Middle Earth that these elves up north were of mixed kin, that they are not only Teleran elves, but also Noldoran elves who did not take the journey over to Valinor.
Yeah.
And so there is some sort of remnant of the Proto-Quendian, or Eldarin that they kept and were able, basically why when the Feanorians and later the Nolafinwayans, when they came over, they felt a closer kin. And this text kind of hints at that when it says that when they met them with gladness as kinsfolk long sundered.
Yeah.
Continuing on in this chapter, the elves of Mithrim, the Noldor learned of the power of Elwe Sindiculo, king of Lestinore, and the girdle of enchantment that fenced his realm, and tidings of these great deeds in the north came south to the Thousand Caves and to the havens of Brithambar and Eglarust. Now, here's where it gets interesting into my point of why Elwe Sindiculo is basically says what he says because he's upset that his hegemonic rule is being threatened.
Hold on. Where were you at? You were just at now...
So this is now at the top of page 123 in this edition.
I'm just gonna do something for the people who are listening. Where's that second paragraph?
So that's first sentence, top of page 123 in
and
this.
All the elves of Beleriand were filled with wonder and with hope.
Yes.
So of their mighty. Well, but hold on, because David, you keep saying Sindiculo, because people are gonna look up Sindiculo and be like, "What the fuck? It doesn't come up. Sindiculo doesn't come up because you fucking did this to me."
so
I knew it was Singulo, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
in this
what's the
edition
difference between Singulo and Sindiculo?" And I had to like literally fucking ask you specifically, like, "Hey, where the fuck is Sindiculo coming from?" And you're like, "Oh, by the way, it's an epithet that I made up because I hate him."
It's true.
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw that out there just in case for anybody listening or watching. David is calling him Sindiculo because he hates Elwë, okay? Or
because he's the bastard man and he's the gray asshole.
Okay. I just want to make that. I just want to get.
So
Sindiculo. I'm just trying to get back to that point.
So
just in case anyone has lost a plot, just in case we want to make sure we know we're talking about the same character. I'm going to stop talking, David. Please take over.
So Elwë Sindiculo is my own version. So Elwë is technically in the text. So it is in this text, Elwë. However, they call him Elwë Singolo, but that derives from Elwë Sindicolo. But I call him Elwë Sindiculo, coming from our real world languages of Romance languages, roots of, say, Italian or Spanish, culo meaning ass or asshole. So Elwë Sindiculo means Elwë, the gray asshole, instead of the gray cloak. So I am in the top of page 123 in this book as far as the rest of my thesis goes, to why Elwë Sindiculo, the gray asshole, is more concerned about his hegemonic rule.
For
than-
those who cannot see what we're looking at, it's the 2020 Del Rey Mass Market Edition with a purple cover, and it actually is. It has the two trees of Valinor for some reason with the
I'm also
white
holding it
ship.
up, to be
of-
fair. And it's
well,
in,
yeah,
it's in view.
David. This is also a podcast that is going to show up on Spotify, possibly without.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
video.
Yeah. My bad. My bad.
That's
my
why.
bad.
So this is the Del Rey edition from 2020. It's purple and black on the front. It's got the two trees of Valinor with that's Feanor's symbol, right? In the middle up top.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It
Hold on,
is.
hold on.
No,
So
that's the start of Earendil.
Oh, it's Earendil.
So the cover
By the
art
way, see,
is
look, it doesn't matter
by-
how much you know about Lord of the Rings and Tolkien.
The cover is also designed by Michael James Bowman.
Yeah.
So it is the Michael James Bowman lavender purple cover.
Ooh, you
The
bust out the word
Earendil
lavender.
star. The Earendil star has 6 points.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
The Anorian one has 8.
That's right.
Yeah,
There was a
one for the
whole
sun and-
fucking TikTok threads, whatever.
So like
fucking
thematically with that cover, it's like you've got the 2 trees there,
yeah,
the boat in the middle, and then the star of Earendil, like in
Yeah.
the sky.
yeah,
Somewhere.
that makes sense. Except like the two trees are on opposite sides. It makes it look like it's on Valinor and Middle Earth.
It's just a stylized thingy.
Choice. It's a choice. Anyways, I'm sorry, David. Please proceed.
No
I just wanted to
worries.
make sure because you're saying like this edition.
Yes.
and, like,
So I forgot.
This could also potentially be listened instead of watched.
To TJ's credit, I forgot about the whole Spotify and this being, and
Yeah.
not even just Spotify, but this primarily being a listening
That's
thing.
my role,
So
dude. That's my role is to make
thank
sure
you
we
for
know where we're
reminding.
at.
Thank you for reminding me because I was purely going off of like, oh, like I'm holding up the book cover, and from what I can see, it's in shot.
By
in,
the
like,
way,
clear
we're
shot.
all three of us met through either Threads or TikTok, and so we're used to being able to like see what we're hearing. And if you're not seeing what you're hearing, that's why I had to do what I did because I wanted to make sure that everybody could understand what we were talking about. David, please continue. Also, by the way, David is one of the smartest people I know.
So coming from on top of page 123 of the Michael James Bowman cover, the lavender cover of the Silmarillion, published in 2020. Then all the elves of Beleriand, or Valariande, in the proper tongue, were filled with wonder and with hope at the coming of their Ñoldor mighty kindred, who thus returned unlooked for from the west in the very hour of their need, believing indeed at first that they came as emissaries of the Valar to deliver them. Okay, so obviously the Noldor did not come and help the Sindar, like that wasn't the initial intention. But at the same time, when we look at the history of the battles and the wars that go on in Middle Earth at this time, they came just at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Elwes Indiclo and his host retreated behind the girdle of his wife Melian in Lestinore or Doriath, but that left the northern Sindar and the rest of the Sindar who didn't go behind the girdle susceptible to facing Morgoth's forces. But the Noldor are there basically to drive them back. Like they come at the right time. Again, it's not intentional on the Noldor.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight. It's
Can
not
I say a
intentional on their
thing?
Yes.
It's relevant, I promise. Yeah. Feanor, albeit unwittingly, saved Círdan, saved Norway, because when the Feanorians arrived in Middle-earth, Círdan was being besieged by the forces of Morgoth, but
Yep.
then they got redirected northwards to deal with the Feanorians approaching. So Feanor's arrival actually saved Círdan's people.
Yes, and this touches upon something that does need to be mentioned because obviously in the later stories and later chapters of the published Silmarillion, due to the doom of the Noldor and the repercussions of the oath of the Feanorians, Tolkormo literally saves.
Hold on, David.
Oh, sorry.
Remind everybody who Tolkormo is.
Tolkormo Celegorm,
Thank you.
the third son of Feanaro,
The blonde.
the silver-haired blonde. I go with the
Sponsor
silver-haired.
guy.
I just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page.
Basically
Go
the Steve Irwin of the elves. I will state that at the record. He was the Steve Irwin of the elves in Valinor.
For those who don't follow David on social media, please do, because he really does make connections like this, and it's fucking hilarious every single time he does, because he's not wrong. Continue, David.
So Tolkormo, and it does say this in the text. It says it, and I get when we reread the Silmarillion, and we know what Tolkormo later does, or attempts to do in regards to Luthien and Beren. Yes, it is absolutely wrong.
What does he do?
It is wrong. It is fucked up. It is not correct. But again, I think it's part of that playing out of the doom of the Noldor and the consequences of swearing the oath, continued swearing of the oath of Feanor or Feanaro.
Well,
but,
David, don't forget there are people who may not know about what you're talking about, so you're gonna have
the
to
oath
on that.
They Celegorm kidnaps Luthien and plans to forcibly marry her to acquire the strength of Doriath as part of his quest to reclaim the Silmarils.
I just want to make sure, like, we're everyone can be on the same page, whether they know about this stuff or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and again, this isn't to excuse or at all justify any of that. It's just more of to show the ramification, of what they swear and how this eventually unfolds into their own downfall and doom and their fate. But also to show that they didn't originally start out that way. Kind of like how with Sauron, in like how we get with the Rings of Power and other shows, Sauron didn't originally start as evil or wicked.
Right.
Same with Tolkormo Celegorm. You know, there's a reason why he has Huan the Hound follow him into exile.
No.
And we get a glimpse of this in this chapter 13 of the Return of the Noldor. When it talks about his feats in regards to when the Feanorians arrive into Valariande or Valerian, it talks about, just a moment as I bring this up. By
the way, let's take a drink for Huan.
Bestest boy.
The goodest
boy.
The goodest boy in all of Arda.
David, I need you to lift your glass while we do it. Come on, buddy. The goodest boy.
The goodest
boy.
But it states,
how dare you dishonor the dog?
But it states that coming back, the orcs fled before them, and they were driven forth from Mithrin with great slaughter, and hunted over the mountains of shadow into the great plain of Ardgallen that lay northward of Dorsonian. There the armies of Morgos that had passed south into the Vale of Sirion and beleaguered Kiryatan or Círdan in the havens of the Falas came up to their aid and were caught in their ruin. For Tolkormo or Celegorm, Feanaro's son, having news of them, waylaid them with a part of the elven host, and coming down upon them out of the hills near Etele Sirion or Ethel Sirion, drove them into the fen of Serek.
Wait, what's fen of Serek in Quenya?
I don't know.
Got him.
I would say probably it's
Is
be
it
something.
Serek?
It'd be so fen of Serek.
Sereke?
Because that's the thing. Because Serek seems rather odd. I would assume it'd be similar. I feel like it might even be Quenya.
You think
or
Sarek is
or
Quenya?
or it would be Seracosto or Seracoste or something like that. That's how I would imagine it would be. It's not
Well,
as
Tolkien Gateway says Serek is clearly a Sindarin word,
oh, okay. Well, there you go.
but its
Look at
meaning
that.
is unclear. So
I like
don't
how
know.
like I asked
Because
you and Lee was
They
like,
they
hold
they,
on,
they
I got you.
theorize it could be related with the word Sereg, blood.
Could it be related to the word Theric, which doesn't exist?
So-
I'm just using the
Cause-
th instead of
but-
an s.
so diatribe or tangent here. So Serek itself, it's related to blood, then yeah, because Seragost, like kind of how you get in the Shadows of Mordor game,
Hmm.
Seragost
Don't
is related.
don't spoil it. I'm still not done with
I'm not spoiling it. I'm not done with it
Okay.
either. So
Really?
in Shadows of War, I'm not done with because Seragost is a region in Shadows of War. Not
Oh,
Shadows of
okay,
War.
okay.
Because Seragost, because that would be the Sindarin or Cinderized version of I feel like of Serduk because G isn't as common in Quenya. Usually it's combined with like that what's the that Velar N sound like with the Nord.
Oh, the
Oh, that sound I cannot physically
Yeah.
make.
okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. So
The
let's
song
no. Before I do it, before I do the sound, before I do the sound, either Lee or David, please explain the sound I'm about to make because you two are better at explaining than I am. I'll just do the sound.
So Tolkien, you don't get it in the published Silmarillion or the Lord of the Rings, but in the Histories of Middle Earth, you get the word for Noldor has a tilde that is like in
Which is like a
Manana.
little. It's like a. If you don't know what
It's
tilde is,
squiggly.
it's like you get. It's the thing over the ends in like senor in Spanish.
Yeah,
That
so like
little squiggle.
Or El Nino.
Yeah, El Nino,
Exactly.
Mañana,
Yeah.
Senor. You
Mhm.
get the tilde above the N.
Yeah.
However,
But that's not the sound it means in Elvish though.
Not
Exactly.
one bit. Not one bit.
And so in Quenya, it's more of I forget the specific linguistic name, but it's the Velar Velar something
The way I've
David,
or
read
other.
It's like the name.
David, just point at the
I think it's a
camera when you
Chinese
need me to
name
say it.
where it's like NG. You know
Yeah.
that's
So
it's that sound.
It's NG
It doesn't
like how
exist in English properly. Well, it does, but
does.
not the way I speak. Not the way I speak.
No,
It
the way
doesn't.
you
that's
speak
the
too. The
thing,
way you
that-
speak too. You just are not used to taking away the other things around the ng.
the thing is that
Because it literally is just English. You're doing the You're
Well,
already doing that.
the thing is that because in contemporary English it doesn't exist as much because there's so many dialects and derivations that most of the time we don't really notice it, but it exists in languages like Tagalog, Vietnamese, Finnish. I'm forgetting. In Catalan, like the Catalan version of sangre, as far as like so the way I've had it described as how to pronounce it or to practice pronouncing it is to practice saying song of. And so it's that. So in Tolkien, the example is given
it's literally just
the ng of sing. Sing.
Yeah.
So like song of Noldor.
The problem is I say thing.
No.
Thing.
Here's how you do it. Pretend you're gonna swallow.
Noldor.
There's no end.
I feel like I'm going to throw up doing that.
Leave David, hold on.
Honestly, that's the hard. That's the hard part.
You.
That's the hard part because I can't say it as naturally. Like I have to consciously think about it when I try to say it.
It's supposed to be a foreign language. Of course, it's supposed to be conscious.
But that's the hard part. Like the other Quenya words I can do, but that one.
Oh, that's why. It's because it's like the one thing you can't do in Quenya.
No, because that's the thing is like it's so like I have to stop myself. Like okay, Noldor.
Okay, do me a favor. Say sing.
Sing.
Okay, now
Sing.
say
Se.
Actually, no. Say C. C.
Si.
C.
Si.
Okay. Now cut off the C and say ng.
Ng.
No, literally just say ng. Just say ng.
Ng.
No,
Ng.
David, you're doing it wrong.
Ng.
Yeah, there you go. Ng. Okay.
Ng.
Now add Oldor after that.
Oldor.
Ngoldo.
Ordor.
Now
Ordor.
do it faster,
Ngoldo.
Lee. No,
Ordor.
Lee, you're close. Lee, you're close. Do it faster.
Ordor.
Ngoldo.
Noldor.
Ngoldo. I
Ordor.
can't
It's
do
like-
it. My
Alright, hold
throat
on.
is like
It is so hard.
rebelling against me.
Wait. Let me try visually for you. So like snap, right? The snap of your finger, right? Okay. So Oldor, right? Oldor.
Ngoldo.
No.
Oldor.
Snap and say Oldor.
Ordor.
Ngoldo.
Okay.
Ordor.
Now don't snap and just say ng.
Ng.
Okay. I know. For everyone who's like just listening, this is gonna be the most fun part of this podcast. All right,
Oh
Lee.
my god.
Lee, not David, just Lee. Ng.
Hunger.
David. Ng.
Ng.
Lee. G.
Ngoldo.
Okay. David. G.
G.
Okay. Lee. Go. David. Go.
Go. Go.
Lee.
See
Gold.
that honestly, that's
Wait,
the hard
wait,
part.
wait,
so
wait,
that,
wait,
can I
David,
just say,
David,
can I just
David,
say
we're
this?
so close.
because
David, we're so close.
This,
We're so
this is
close.
the hard part because where I am from
Okay.
is predominantly Filipino and Vietnamese, like
Okay.
population wise. And so like that type of like the accent for that is so common that I've heard so much in my life, but at the same time I can't do it justice.
I
And
know.
so
I
that's
was
the
walking you
frustrating
to
part.
it, and you stopped me.
But that's the part is like
Ngoldo.
older.
No.
Golder,
No.
golder,
Okay, hold
golder.
on. Hold on. Hey, Lee. G.
G.
Goal.
Gol.
Go.
Ngol.
Older,
Ngol.
older.
Ungol.
Say ungol for both of you. Say ungol for me. Ungol for me.
Ungol.
Ungol.
Okay. Shorten the un and just go ungol. Like the
Ungol.
is in the back of your throat. Ungol. It's
Ungol.
ungol.
Ungol. No, I can't. I can't do it.
Lee, no, the face you just made, that like almost throw up face, that's exactly what you have to
I don't want to look like I'm gonna throw up though, TJ.
No, well, I mean you can learn how to do it without like looking
I
like you can.
can't. I really can't.
Ngoldo. Ngoldor?
I'm just gonna stick with Noldor.
No.
Fine.
Here, listen.
I'm happy. I'm happy
Listen,
with
listen.
Noldor.
I'm gonna get up on my microphone right now. Ngoldor.
Can't do
Ngoldor.
it. Noldor. Noldor.
It doesn't help that
Ngoldor.
I've been drinking beer. So like
Listen,
part
by the
of me
way,
is
hey, listen, no. Like, all right, pretend you're gonna sip. Don't actually sip your drinks, but just
Ngoldor.
say go. Let's say go. Say the word no. That's what it is.
Older.
Say the word,
Older.
no, David.
Older.
Say the word gulp.
Gulp.
Okay. Now take off the oop.
Oop.
No. Take that out.
No.
Yes.
That's so
what it is.
hard.
That's what it is.
That's so hard to do naturally, though. That's the
It's
hard
not.
part.
It's
It
right
is.
here.
It is very hard. So you like say it like I'm Goofy from a Goofy movie.
I'm going to hold on.
Older.
I'm about to take a drink right now.
Gosh. Older. Noldor.
Listen, David, you've been in my lives where I've done
I
like
know.
been in my lives where I do voices. So like,
The Noldor.
Gosh. Like I will literally learn how to do a voice to prove you wrong. So Lee, where can people find you?
I'm Silmarillion on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. I think that's everywhere. Oh, YouTube as well. Sort of.
And David, where can people find you?
You can find me David the Noldo. That's DAVID THENGOLDO. You can find me basically Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Substack, and possibly sometime in the future YouTube. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, those are all the spaces you can find me at.
All right. Well, thank you both for being here on the maiden voyage. I really appreciate both of you. Have a good night. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Tolkien on Tap. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on any of my social medias. I'm on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at @the_Neej. Namarie.